All right, crypto heads, let's take a look at Cardano from this week's article on Brave New Coin. So I last wrote about Cardano in October 2018, and I mainly haven't written about it since then because there really wasn't much more I could say, in that there still isn't a mainnet. Now they have had mainnet releases, but there is no mainnet that is decentralized. So at the time I said it was in early stages of development. And at the bottom here, I said it needs 1 or 2 years before resembling anything like Ethereum or EOS. So here we are, April 2020. They are set to release a mainnet that is decentralized proof of stake sometime this quarter, Q2. We'll see if it happens. They have an incentivized testnet, which is a precursor to proof of stake for them. So I applaud their development. I applaud their caution. What I don't understand is why do an ICO in 2017? Why get it listed on all these exchanges if it's just a centralized testnet? Still, 3 years later. That's the baffling part for me. The other baffling part is the constant marketing attempts by Hoskinson specifically to try to pump this stuff. I don't understand. And you might say, well, Josh, this is basically a seed round for any company, and wouldn't you want to get in early as possible? That's fine. But I just don't think the ADA team is necessarily being honest about the progress or where they thought they were along the development roadmap, the fact that they had so long to go. All right, so that's my subjective opinion. So let's get some objectivity here. One last thing I'll say is they had to rewrite the first part of their Byron development phase. So it goes Byron, Shelley, and a bunch of stuff after that. They're working on this concurrently. It involves a treasury eventually. It involves stuff like Dash, stuff like Decred, where they have this decentralized governance. I think it's going to take a lot for them to develop a network effect large enough to have people care about the governance on Cardano. I hope I'm wrong. I want them to succeed. I want all blockchains to succeed. The issue is the scamming and the messaging angle that really bugs me and really bugs a lot of people. All right, let's look at transactions per day, average transaction values. Transactions per day have not exceeded basically the distribution point, the initial early January 2018 or December 2017, basically when the entire world was at an all-time high. You could be peer coin and be an all-time high in December 2017. So this isn't really saying much. In my mind, this is just purely speculative type stuff. Since then, it's declined, but also ranged between 2K and 4K transactions per day, which isn't much, certainly. Now, since the incentivized testnet went live in December, they've had a large increase in transactions. So there's clearly some organic interest going on there, along with just crypto prices in general are up, as well as the ADA price was up a little bit earlier in the year. So it's hard to really know, is this just speculation? Is this people excited about incentivized testnet? Both are happening at the same time. Average transaction values have been actually pretty high for a chain. I think because there's relatively little transactions per day, that average transaction values are between 10 and 20K. On any dApp-like chain or chains using smart contracts, that sort of thing, I'd expect average transaction values to go to zero because there's an encouragement for smaller transactions that send data but not necessarily value, if that makes sense. So you'd expect a lot more transactions later on. So when this does go live, if it's successful, I expect transactions to spike extremely high, just because that's the nature of proof of stake chains in general. So I'd watch for that when the mainnet goes live. This is NVT, the line here, and daily active addresses, or monthly active addresses in this case, in the fill. And again, monthly active addresses are up since January. NVT is down since February, March. It's arguably at a multi-year low, which is extremely bullish in a vacuum. Daily active addresses being up this high, also bullish in a vacuum. Now it's certainly decayed since the price increase, so I suspect most of this is speculation related and not necessarily people excited about the incentivized testnet or mainnet release that's upcoming. Both are happening at the same time. Again, you can't separate one from the other. So to see NVT actually come down is bullish. It says that the market cap is currently underpricing the utility of the chain or the on-chain activity. This is the Google Trends for Cardano. I don't really mention this on many of the videos, but I put it in every article where the name is unique enough that it'll have its own Google trend. So you can see since December 2017, which is what this was, it's essentially been at the lows. With the mainnet release, this is something to watch because as you see rises in Google Trends, you will see a rise in price. So I would check for this when the mainnet press starts flooding out. All right, let's look at some technicals. We've got yearly pivots here, which are mathematically based on the previous year's highs and lows. We've got VPVR, volume profile of the visible range, which is the volume at a specific price. We've got volume down here and RSI, which is an oscillator I use for extreme highs and extreme lows in price, as well as finding bullish or bearish divergences. Here's a good bullish divergence, lower low in price, higher low in RSI. That says there's waning bearish momentum, you'd expect a reversal. So we didn't see any divergences here. We did see probably an all-time low in RSI, other than late 2018. A really good sign that there was some sort of capitulatory action, a mega oversold territory with a big volume spike down, as well as an all-time low on the USD pair. All-time low. This did go lower. This is the line graph, so there's no wicks here for candles or anything. The intraday move did go lower than this, so it did spike pretty low. What I'm watching for going forward is a move back to 043, which is the point of control, which is why there's a line here. Basically, it's the highest volume point on the entire chart. So you'd expect the mean reversion back to this. You'd expect the mean reversion back to the 200 to get back in this consolidation range. Now, this chart looks very similar to any other altcoin USD pair for the most part. Ethereum looks very similar to this. It had an ascending triangle breakup in early 2019, ranged at highs a little bit, and then just had a month-over-month decline, popped up early in the year again, and it had the mega drop on March 12th. Here's another good example of a bearish divergence. We had a higher highs in price and a super low RSI. So there was waning bullish momentum to forecast that down move. Now, obviously, it's easy to see these in hindsight. You want to catch these as they're happening. Another thing I notice is the lack of price history above the 200 EMA and really above the 50 EMA. So this stuff has kind of been bearish since inception, other than, basically getting lucky and getting listed when the mega bubble happened. I have this 26-cent line on here because this is the ICO price. Now, I don't know if there's anybody still holding from that price, but I guess there's some poor soul out there. So that's a level to watch on the way up if it gets that high, around a quarter or whatever, because there'll be people looking to get out at break even, I'm sure, if they're still holding. And as far as the yearly pivots are concerned, they sort of match these spikes in VPVR. So 0.09, 0.05, something like that. This local high, this local high. Those are the ranges that are going to be tested or need to be tested before higher highs, just based on previous resistance. Here's the cloud. Again, looks just like ETH. It just looks like a lot of altcoins where it made this mega range and it put in this 50% Kijun cloud stuff at 0.045, something like that. So I'd expect it to attempt to get back to this point because this will act as a magnet. And I mentioned this in a lot of videos, but what you want to see when you have a Kumo breakout, so if we do get above that zone, you want to see a concurrent confluent chart pattern like an ascending triangle that will also project higher highs or bullish continuation. So to see an Adam Eve here eventually, or an ascending triangle even before the breakout, gives you more confidence that you're going to see that bullish continuation. Looking at Cardano BTC, so I haven't actually traded Cardano other than this range here. So I haven't touched it in over a year at this point. The reason I traded it in here was because, again, you had this inverted head and shoulders chart pattern, shoulder, head, shoulder, with the bullish Kumo breakout. So you had that confluence, and boom, you got your expected up move. So since then, it's just been down, 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 and consolidated in this extremely tight range, 100 sats, arguably. So, and the volume VPVR reflects that because there's more volume in this zone than any other point on the chart. Now, there's other price history before July 2018 that just looks absurd if you zoom all the way out. So that's why I just zoomed all the way in, because it's 97% down from all-time highs. So what I'm looking for here is a move above 550 sats, which would be above the daily cloud. It would be above the 200 EMA. And at that point, you're looking for volume follow through. You can see volume's arguably just fallen since the beginning of the year. So what you want to see is volume picking up again with a move above the cloud. So as far as levels on the way up, I like 950 sats, I like 1K sats, I like 1100 sats. Basically, it'll probably get back into this previous accumulation zone, just because, again, you have a lot of people who are possibly holding since here, and they're looking to get out of break even. That's really what most of this support resistance stuff is about. Not only is everyone looking at it on the chart, but there's a bunch of people who are also still long or short or holding since that point, looking to get out. That's why there's resistance there. So as it sits now, it's definitely bearish, but I like that it's ranging again in the previous accumulation zone. So this was like, I don't know, 6 to 8 months of accumulation. You can map it out as a Wyckoff thing if you want, probably. Had this bullish Kumo breakout and then just right back down. So overall, it's worth keeping an eye on. Put alerts on 550 and just wait and be patient. Wait for that mainnet release. That's going to be the biggest impetus driver for fundamental change in everything. I wish them luck with the proof of stake stuff. I wish them luck in the extremely crowded proof of stake landscape. I wish them luck when ETH eventually switches to ETH 2.0. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to have another proof of stake coin in the mix. And I'm glad they're finally releasing a mainnet after all these years.